Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us today on what we will be going through with our webinar. My name's Tom, and I'm one of the managers for the project management team here at Learning People. My job essentially is to just sort of see how the team move forward within helping you guys and potential students move into their roles, and then how we work on from there. I'm also joined with Marisha, who heads up career services. Marisha, yeah, brilliant, I got that right. Also Jenny Linney, who is a senior CC here at Learning People. And we've got a real privilege. This is the exciting part where Emma, who is a student enrollee, will be able to give you guys a really great insight as to the process and kind of like what you can get out of it. So it's a really, really fun opportunity here. In regards to a bit of the background as to like what we do, one of the things that is really, really prevalent, especially recently, has been the kind of Women's History Month, and what we can kind of put forward as to a little bit more of an insight to celebrate basically a lot of women in project management and the industry. I think it's changed quite a lot over the years. Historically, it's especially with Prince 2 starting around the 80s and how that was introduced, it could have been quite predominantly a male industry. But again, we'll hear from the other guys, but I think that it's a really fun, exciting time at the moment because there's such a change. We can see such a more diversity within that gender sort of gap there. So yeah, it's really good. Also, in regards to us at Learning People, what we do as a basic is we give you the tools essentially to achieve your goals and where you want to get to within your career. So it's making sure that we kind of outline exactly what your expectations are and how ambitious you want to be with it, but it's also giving you that support. I think it's fairly sure that it's pretty unrivaled with the ability that we can really help our students progress. Sorry, I'm just looking at the agenda here. So yeah, if Marisha, if you want to just sort of introduce yourself as well, that'd be a great sort of segue into how you guys help some of our students.
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched Career Services with the aim of giving our students the tools and the confidence to become job ready, to navigate the job market and to take control of their careers. And we'll take you through a 3-phase process that's tailored to your own desired career path, whether you're new to project management, so you might be joining in a project support coordinator function, or whether you're actually looking to build upon your existing skills and further your career within project management. So phase 1 is all about building your professional brand. It's laying down the foundations to become a credible candidate in the marketplace. And to do that, we give you resources, we give you guides to research the industry so you understand what you need to present about yourself. And to sort of match what the market is asking of you. So this is really key to you getting noticed or not. And we also give you guides on updating your CV, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letter, and then you'll go through a one-to-one consultation with a consultant like myself. All of us are really experienced recruiters, so we know what you need to emphasize about yourself and your skills to get yourself in front of these employers and to be taken seriously. So we'll essentially go back and forth until your CV and LinkedIn are reaching those industry standards. And then once you've achieved that, we'll move on to phase 2, which is all about networking and your approach to the job market. So really showcasing your relevant and transferable skills in project management. And more businesses are turning to their network right now to save on advertising and hiring costs. Who do they know that can do the job? And for you, it's all about building your network, nurturing your network throughout this time, because that is where the hidden job market is. It's through the people that you network with. And along with that, we'll encourage you to balance multiple methods of application. So it's not just job boards that you'll be using, because they only represent about 30% of available opportunities. So if you're just out there on your own, constantly applying for jobs, you're only dipping into a very small portion of the marketplace, and it's guaranteed to take you longer to find a job if that's your only method. So with the networking and with the multiple methods to apply for jobs, you should get a positive outcome a lot easier. And phase 3 is all about interviews. So we'll help you with prep calls. We'll run through the different types of interviews that are out there. What's really common in project management are presentations, and you're always welcome to practice with us to help overcome any nerves that you might have. And it can be quite overwhelming if you're career changing into tech. So we make sure that that process will be tailored to your specific needs, as everybody is different and everyone's got different goals. So for some, like Emma, that you'll meet, they'll only need a tiny little bit of help at the start, and for others they might need a little bit more hand-holding through the process. But either way, we'll support you all the way through to you landing the job that you want. And that's us in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, that's a fantastic way of putting it. And I think on the back of what Marisha is saying there, that's what sets us apart from a lot of other institutions, a lot of other learning providers, because we are able to really give you that 3-step process, really simple, and hold your hand along the way, and really get the benefit from that. So yeah, as much as Marisha said as well, the demand for project managers is never been higher. It is at the moment second to HGV drivers, because naturally of COVID. It is one of the most sought after positions and industries as well. I mean, it's not an industry specific, and that's why there's so many job roles within project management. It's good to segue into someone who has done our studying, which would be Emma Hayward now, and it'd be really good, Emma, to hear some of your journey and how you've gone through our process as well. So tell us about your sort of career journey to date, and why did you decide a career to move into project management?
So hi everyone. I was working as a furniture designer. I think quite a few people, I thought, I'm in a creative industry. This is my career path. And I was kind of looking ahead and thinking, what do I actually enjoy? Where do I want to go with this? So I then pushed to become a project coordinator within my furniture role. And I found I just loved the sort of organization side of everything, the stakeholder management, actually speaking to external clients. So that's when I basically started looking at my qualifications, and I realized that to move into a project manager role, I would need something that could get my foot in the door. And unfortunately, saying you're a furniture designer doesn't really make you very employable as a project manager. So I was looking at things like Prince 2, APMP, and I was incredibly confused by what I needed, where to go. And that's when I started talking to, I think it was Sam, who was one of the consultants.
Yes.
And he was really, really helpful in explaining what the benefits of the different qualifications were. I then tailored that package down to what I really wanted. So I did the Prince 2 Foundation, Practitioner and Agile qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I wasn't that disciplined with the online learning, so I did use the full year to get that. But then once I had that on my CV, I started just applying to a lot of roles. I got ignored a lot. Again, I think you need to find the person who is willing to take that chance on someone who maybe doesn't have the initial experience but can see the value in the qualifications. So yes, then I managed to get a role at the company I'm with now as a junior project manager, and then within 9 months, thankfully, they've made me a project manager.
That's fantastic. Congratulations and well done, Emma. Really, it's this is like the fun part, I think, for all of us, especially Jenny will agree as well, because Jenny's like the Sam that you had, where we start this journey with you guys, and where we get to see you guys develop and end to that end goal into a job that you can really thrive in. So that's really, really impressive. So well done. What was that first call like for you at Learning People? What was the feeling towards that initial first call?
I think it was a combination, because it was still quite early on in my search, and quite frankly, I was really confused by what the difference between all the different courses were.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure which industry I wanted to move into, so I just wanted to kind of learn what project management was, and also whether I could do it. I thought, if I do this qualification, it could help me understand whether it's something that I'm actually interested in, or if it's just sort of a idea that doesn't quite work. And I must say, personally, with Prince 2, I found it very rigid. And in practice, I think it's much more flexible. Projects are far less predictable than I think Prince 2 can teach you, but it's taught me so much in regards to terminology and processes and correct structure on how to do things on a level that other companies, in my company, we have sister partner studios, we all speak that same project management language. And that's what I really took from that course. And sorry, going back to your question, I think I've gone off on a tangent there, but
no.
Sam really helped me understand, what I want to get out of this learning. And also, the things like the career services were really appealing, and knowing that you have that support as you're going through the process. And even just Sam chasing me when I wasn't really making any progress and saying, is there a reason you're not progressing with this, is actually really great motivation. I think when you're just given a sort of online site and said, go with it, it's very easy to be enthusiastic for a short period of time and step back. So having that support is really valuable.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think it's one of those things when you see it on paper or on just a website, we all understand if anyone's looked at any job boards or any positions, you're going to have a requirement that says Prince 2 or something around that. And what does that mean though? How can you actually apply that to the actual job? And that's where the consultant like Sam just gives you that little bit of a vision, brings it to life, I guess, in a way, to make that clear. So within your sort of day-to-day job role then, Emma, what does the project manager sort of role look like?
So quite frankly, it's completely different to how I expected. We work on sort of 2 or 3 projects at the same time. My projects are quite specific in that we do regulated market projects, so releasing new websites and software into different territories around the world which have their own regulations. So I've learned an incredible amount on compliance, legal, tech, and I think as a project manager, you've got to be flexible, and the main thing is kind of actually, even if you don't understand, is the ability to say, okay, who has this information, where can I go to get it, and be able to reach out to them. So I think a key for me will be stakeholder management, and when I started the role, quite frankly, I was very shy. I was worried to reach out to my South African counterparts and ask them silly questions. But now it's very much a daily activity, and it's amazing being able to connect with so many people.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say on that as well, was that anything that you knew prior to even starting the course or starting to learn about the frameworks and the terminologies? Did you have any idea about that before?
I didn't even know what a stakeholder was. And for those of you on this, it's pretty much just someone involved in the project. But yes, I came into the Prince 2 completely naive, and it was brilliant to, when I started the job, to know things like what is a business case, basic project terminology, which otherwise could have been very confusing. But I think one of the big challenges I faced was coming into a tech environment. You've got a lot of people with a lot of knowledge that I just don't have. So tech abbreviations, things like that, it's quite overwhelming, but it's very easy to quickly find your feet, and again find the support network within the role to answer all of your questions. And I think I've been lucky in the company I'm with that they've been incredible in that sense.
That's great. And we hear that as well with any other sort of graduates that are going into roles, but then also the support that the actual job are giving them, because they want you to do the best you can within it as well. But that's really great. What projects are you working on at the moment? Anything you can let us in on?
So I'm not sure how much detail I can go into. But like I said, things like we do some process improvement projects. So whether it be internal projects we need a better way to store data or get data between our multiple companies, getting new third-party vendors brought into the company, signing contracts, kind of going through that procurement process. And then, yes, releasing new websites into new markets, working with external regulators and legal bodies, as well as then working on a daily basis with the kind of technical product team and architects, product owners, just working out sort of who needs to be involved into what and yes, I can't really go into too many specifics.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
afraid.
It still, it sounds really exciting, you know. I mean, in terms of your day to day, it sounds like no day's the same.
Absolutely. It's a very, I'd say, agile environment. Things do change on a daily basis, and that is both really exciting, but it can obviously be frustrating if you've been working on something for a few weeks and suddenly a decision changes. So things like change management, again, is just, it's stuff that when you're learning about it, you think, you know, how much is this actually going to be used? But I would say I use what I've learned on a daily basis.
Yeah, and that's a great point to make as well. And I think that's why these courses are so beneficial in terms of giving you those frameworks that whilst you're in the midst of the job, you can turn back to what you've learned. You can revert back to those studying times and take that with you. Do you think that, or what skills do you think are quite prominent, and especially when we're looking specifically for women, that they can bring to the industry? What type of skills do you think?
It's quite interesting. So I've been very fortunate to move into quite a female-led project management team. And I think there is definitely a difference between male and female project managers in style. I wouldn't say one is better or the other, but I think it's, I don't know how to say this. I think that, you know, it's a really hard question, actually.
Or do you think that there's any prominent skill that you've seen that definitely kind of stands out?
I would say approachability is really key. And I think, my mind's just going completely blank. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yes, I think, you know, as a team, we are incredibly good communicators.
Yeah.
And the male counterparts there as well, I would say, are the same. Yeah, I think, again, I'm just very lucky in the team that I'm in, both male and female. But I really appreciate the fact that I do not feel like I'm being held back by being a woman. I think especially the company itself is quite male dominated, but the project management team isn't. And I feel like I'm being encouraged to find my voice, not be scared of kind of a very male heavy directorship and executive team. And that is very encouraging. And I must say, I was very nervous moving into the industry that, you know, I maybe wouldn't be respected. I come across quite young, and I found that actually that hasn't hindered me, which is I'm really happy about. And I'm not sure if that is my company or if that is a general across the board change, but yes.
Cool. Well,
sorry if I've gone off on a tangent there.
No, not at all. No, it's all relevant, and that's really good. Thank you. And I guess in terms of that, especially with the change with women becoming a little bit more prominent, do you think that there's, or why do you think that women are joining project management as that team a little bit more? Do you think there's any reason behind that?
I think, again, it's encouraging that people are, and I think the maybe the stigmas that have been there about project managers is disappearing. And I think, you know, we are able to do whatever we want. And I think, you know, females are known for their multitasking skills. And I would say, you know, project management is just pure multitasking. There's things going on left, right, and center at all times. And I found myself challenged with it constantly, but I think it's a very diverse career path, and there are so many doors to be opened with it. It's
definitely. And no, the statistics back that up. If we look at our enrollments, there's quite an even split at the moment between men and women, but it's really nice to hear, especially from firsthand yourself, that you've got whole teams within companies that are heading up projects that are all just run completely by women. So, you know, I think that diversity is completely changing. And And I guess my very last question for you, Emma, and thank you for the questions so far. What would your advice be to a woman who's looking to change careers into project management?
Do it. That I was so nervous about it and so unsure if it was the right decision. You know, I had a relatively good career going for me where I was, and there was this fear that actually I could be making taking a risk and it wouldn't pay off. But there are so many opportunities within the tech industry. I feel like I've got an incredible path in front of me, lots of opportunities constantly opening up. I've got people around me encouraging me. And I think, you know, the companies out there, there are so many opportunities, so many different ways you can go with, even if you start as a project manager, things like product ownership, you can move into business, the business side of things or the tech side of things. There are just so many different roles that can use these skills that you're picking up. And, you know, it's really exciting times, and I can't wait for my future in tech. I'm still very early days. I've not even been in the career path for a year. And yes, it's amazing. It's challenging, but worth it.
Yeah, and I think it was going to say, in terms of your journey, it feels, or you would correct me, but it feels like it's moving quite nicely and quite fast.
Absolutely. And again, I would say that it's all dependent, as all with all jobs, the team around you and your line managers seeing potential and pushing you. But that's, I think, exactly where Learning People comes in, because you help us get the foot in the door to the right places, to then start those journeys. And without this, I wouldn't be where I am, and I'm very grateful.
You're welcome. But yeah, it's exactly what we kind of say with our CCs as well, and our consultants, is it's very much, we like to use the terminology of healthy nudges. It's kind of putting you guys in the right direction that you feel comfortable, and setting out those goals and how we can help you achieve those goals. That ultimately is our goal here. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much, Emma, for those questions. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I always really like hearing, especially from our student stories, because I think that's a great insight as to what we can offer you and what you can achieve. So that's really great. We've got a couple of minutes left, I think, like we said, about sort of 30 minutes for this webinar, which leads us quite nicely into some questions from some of you guys, the registrants. So we'll kind of share them between each other, and Jenny, hopefully you can sort of jump in here as well on some of them. But these will be questions, designed from you. So the first question that we've got is from Dana, and Dana is asking, what changes have you seen in the industry, and how has the profession changed for women? If Jenny wants to help me with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've worked for Learning People for quite a long time now, for 10 years. And I would say even in that time, the people who approach us, it's very different. I speak to a lot more women now than I ever have done before, which is great. It's it's such a funny thing, because project management is everywhere. You can't just sit there and say project management is in one industry or another. So, it's not anything that has a particular limitation. And so it's all about kind of, anyone who is interested in project management, it's about us having a conversation with you and working out what potentially might be right, and kind of, opening your eyes, saying, well, have you considered working this? I mean, Emma's a classic example. We get a lot of people approaching us saying, oh, I don't have any experience in the tech industry, or in, I've never done tech qualifications, or even I've never worked in construction, but these are areas that I have an interest in. And it's all about making sure people can see the pathways of going into it.
Yeah, that's great answer there, Jenny. And I think also on top of that, when it comes to how has it changed and the profession changed for women, in a way, you guys are changing it, and that's where the change can come into play. The more women that we have enrolled, naturally, they make that change, But I think Jenny's right in terms of the change that we've seen previously. There has been a really, really positive and exciting diversity. Second question we've got here is from Donna. Donna is asking, do you need to be a certain type of character to be successful, to be a successful project manager? Again, Jenny, we can probably take this one, but yeah. Do you want to jump in?
There's different things that are obviously beneficial, and again, like I was making notes when Emma was speaking, because everything she was saying was spot on, exactly the conversations I have with people. But there's always skills like, she talked about being approachable, and good communication skills. If you're someone who can speak to people who are very junior but also feel comfortable speaking to people very senior, things like that, that can be a real help. But again, pretty similar to last time, when because project management is so varied, because you can work in all different industry sectors, and again, you don't necessarily, unless you have experience, you're not starting as the project manager, but you're joining a project team. So it's all about opening up sort of the different doors. But in terms of people who approach us, I speak to people from all different kind of backgrounds, all different kind of both academic backgrounds, work histories, people who are young, people who are more mature, and there's no one person who has to be a project manager. Sort of, let's say, if you can, sometimes if you've got great leadership skills, that can be a great thing, but then you might not necessarily want to be the project manager. You might just want to work in the project team. So it's all about kind of figuring out what's right for that person. But there's no kind of, there's not a sort of particular CV that I would say, oh, that is what you need to have for project management.
Absolutely, and that's why it's such a great diversity of roles within that. There is no, I think you're completely right there, Jenny. There is no certain type. I think in my experience and what I've seen firsthand, especially with students, if I had to choose a couple of characteristics that I would always see, it would be, if you are willing to learn and teach yourself a new type of skills, and you're ambitious, those are really the bare basic characteristics to be successful as a project manager. I think that's how it kind of starts. We will teach you all of the framework that's needed to really excel within the actual role and give yourself confidence that you've got then the experience with it. But it all starts on that kind of basic of you really wanting to learn, and then you being really ambitious to run with it, like Emma's doing, The third question that we've got here is from Jamie, and Jamie's asking, how can women raise their profile in their project management roles and the industry? And I think this would be quite a good question for you, Marisha, if you don't mind answering that one.
Big question, very good question. I mean, I've spoken to a fair few women along with some very close friends who've felt quite invisible in their jobs and have almost kind of slipped into the background at work, and they worry about treading on people's toes or looking arrogant if they sort of try and push themselves forward. And I think also the rise in remote working and hybrid working has made things even more complicated in trying to get that visibility at work and to raise your profile. So a lot will come down to self-confidence, which is something that we can lack in at times. And I think things like speaking up in meetings. So maybe you might want to plan your meeting a little bit more, work out what you want to say beforehand. That might help you. Asking for higher visibility projects could make a difference. If there are any projects that have maybe a direct impact on the company's bottom line that you could manage, there might be, I don't know, in your team, there might be a representative that does the cross department meetings. Maybe you could do that, step forward and kind of put yourself forward for things like that. And growing your network is a really big one as well. Taking time to build and nurture relationships within the company, almost building a network of allies that could help you get assigned to interesting and eye-catching projects that might be out there, or recommend you to other people in departments to open up new opportunities. But Emma, I don't know whether you've got anything that you can add to that. I'm sure there's loads.
I would say exactly the same. I came into this role and was quite timid, and I've really built my confidence over this time. And I think it's all about just volunteering for things that would maybe put you out of your comfort zone, and saying, I'm willing to try this. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to get there. as well, you know, having that confidence, like you said, planning sessions in advance. If I've got a call with company execs, I make sure that I know what I want to get out of this meeting, and having the confidence to speak up when things start getting derailed and say, you know what, this isn't part of this agenda. We need to bring this back on target. And I think, you know, through doing that, you get noticed, you get known as someone who can get things done and achieve the goals that you need to be meeting.
That's brilliant. Thank you, guys. And the very, very last question that we've got here from Gladys is, do you require a degree to qualify?
No.
And no, yeah.
No, again, as I said earlier, we speak to people from all manner of backgrounds, and yeah, a lot of people we speak to have degrees, a lot of people have masters, but then a lot of people are school leavers. You know, when people are looking at coming to study with us, it's because ultimately they either want to advance the career in what they're doing, or probably take a career change. So it's, you know, so it's about approaching things from a new perspective. You know, if you're incredibly, you know, sort of well educated, wonderful, you know, that will always look great. But what we're looking at now are professionally recognised qualifications rather than the academic side of things. You know, they're qualifications that tend to be much more compact. They're very well recognised by employers because they're the same things that an employer would put their staff on. And again, actually, as Emma was saying earlier, when you learn the terminology, it means that you're all kind of speaking the same language, and that's what it's all about. So in terms of academic background, it shouldn't make any difference. No.
Brilliant. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Jenny. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So that concludes our webinar. I feel that those are the questions that have been answered or asked from you guys. Again, thank you so much to everyone that has joined in and tuned in to us to hear what Emma's got to say as well. And thank you, Emma and Marisha, for joining. I would say my last piece here is that there's probably going to be some questions that you guys have, and I can see that there are a lot of hands being stuck up sometimes and raised hands in here. Speak to us, get in touch with us. This is the great opportunity now for you to maybe sit down with Jenny, one of our consultants. We are experts in this field, just like Emma's journey started, to just give you guys a little bit of guidance, give you some advice as to how we can help you with your career and what your ambitions might be. But yeah, that's it from me. Sophie, is there anything else I need to add in terms of best contact emails or anything?
If you would like to get in contact with us, you can reach us on inquiries@learningpeople.co.uk, and then we can forward that on to a CC, career consultant.
Yep, cool. But yeah, that's it from me. Again, thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, and yeah, thank you. We look forward to speaking to you soon.